Hello, and welcome to part two of our Understanding Student Financial Aid and Scholarships series. This is part two, types of financial aid. And just to cover what we've been through already, we had part one, which is applying for financial aid. And we also have a third part of this series, which is cost of attendance and tips. So let's talk about what kind of financial aid is out there. Now, here's one that folks might not necessarily think of as a type of financial aid, but that can really make a big difference. I want to start by just mentioning savings, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But you can focus on savings at any point in time, whether it be elementary school or high school, uh, to start building up some money that can be used towards the bill. There's also gift aid, which is what folks really think of when they think of financial aid for college. So gift aid is money that doesn't have to be paid back. Scholarships, which tend to either require an application or be more limited in nature. You might get a scholarship from having a certain GPA or writing a great essay or winning a competition. And grants, which generally go to students who meet a certain criteria and have applied by a certain time. There's also work study, which is an opportunity to earn some financial aid through a job on or near campus. And there are loans. And a lot of schools require loans these days. It's just expensive to go to college, but there are some pretty good loans out there if you need one. So let's get a little bit more into savings. The first kind of savings account I want to talk about is a 529 state savings plan. And every state has one of these, or most states. And if you're an Oregonian, you probably would want to look into the Oregon one. So these accounts are great because they earn interest, and you can decide how much risk you're willing to take in order to potentially get a greater upside, but also risk a larger downside in terms of what kind of interest that account might grow. Um, you get those choices. But the great thing about these accounts is that they're tax-free. So when you put the money into an Oregon 529 account, you don't pay income taxes on that portion of your income that year. And when the money comes out of the account, as long as it's going towards an educational expense, you don't pay federal or state taxes on the initial amount or the amount that it's accrued over time. So this is a great way to save money for college. And anybody can open a 529. Another option in Oregon is an individual development account. Now, these are only available to low-income families because they're designed to help low-income families save for a big goal, whether that be college, whether it be starting a business or owning a house. The fantastic thing about an individual development account is that if you stick to your savings plan, let's say you save over the course of a year and you've saved $20 a month, that'll get matched typically 3 to 1. So your $20 a month becomes $60 a month as long as you've kept to that savings plan. And you're going to access an individual development account through an organization in your community by going to OregonIDAinitiative.gov, .org, excuse me, OregonIDAinitiative.org. So this is a great way to learn about how to save for a goal and have some help along the way. Now, there's scholarships for all kinds of things out there. So I bet if you look at this list, you can see some kind of achievement that you have or some kind of characteristic. You can start to think about what makes you special. And just know that there are organizations out there who want to help you go to college based on those things that make you special. But it may mean that you need to submit applications and that you need to submit them by a certain time and that you need to spend some time looking for them, right? So there are scholarships for really everything under the sun, and it's definitely worth your time to apply for as many as possible. A couple other things about scholarships, a lot of them ask for letters of recommendation. So it's great to get to know your teachers and let them know well in advance that you're interested in having them write a letter of recommendation for you. You can give them some ideas about what they might want to write about, but in general, it's really important to build those relationships. Get involved in extracurricular activities and take on leadership roles. Now, generally when it comes to college applications, when it comes to scholarships, organizations are looking for commitment. So it may be that you were on the football team for 4 years and you made your way up to team captain. That's a big deal. If you take care of your little brother and sister, how many hours a week do you do that? Are you consistent about it? Are you being a good role model? These are things that you can write about too. There's really all kinds of things that you could get a scholarship for, but it's really important that you are dedicated and that you write down what it is that you're doing, because all those things are going to translate into opportunities for money for college. It's also important to write good essays. So you really have to look at what the organization is asking. Think about it, maybe ask a friend or a mentor, what is it that you think that they're looking for? For example, I met with a student once who was saying, I don't understand why I'm not getting any scholarships. And I looked at her essay and she used the same essay for every group. And she said some negative things about the organization. They don't want that, right? They want to have a student essay that they can show to all of their supporters and say, hey, we feel really proud to send this student to college and to help them out. So just be really careful about spending time to tailor the essays to what that organization is seeking. Now, let's talk about what kind of scholarships the University of Oregon offers, because other schools might have a similar program or they might have a different program, but it just gives you a sense of what's out there. At the University of Oregon, for example, if you have a certain GPA on a 4.0 scale, you'll automatically qualify for a Summit or an APEX scholarship. So we're just looking at GPA now. We know that folks are having trouble getting into standardized tests and whatnot. So those requirements have been removed. And you can go on our website and see what kind of GPA exactly is required to get one of these scholarships. And if you get it, you get it for every term. These amounts are for every year, so you would get them every year. You can also apply for our STAMP scholarship, which is effectively a full ride. It's our most prestigious scholarship that usually goes to about 5 Oregonians each year. That requires a separate application and also applying for early admission. So you have to apply by November 1st for admission to the university, and then November 15th for the STAMP scholarship. There's also the presidential. There's the Diversity Excellence Scholarship, which looks at a combination of your academic merit, your racial and ethnic background, your financial need, and your contributions to diversity, where you are and what you plan to contribute at the University of Oregon. You could potentially get $6,500 from applying for that scholarship for every year at the University of Oregon. So you can see the ones with asterisks here are the ones that have separate applications. And again, you can go to our website, which is financialaid.uoregon.edu, to see all the information about when these applications are due and what exactly is required. Now here's a special one at the University of Oregon. Pathway Oregon is an opportunity to get your tuition and fees covered without using loans for 4 years, right? You get a bachelor's degree without ever paying tuition and fees, and support from dedicated advisors who are your first line of defense. Let's say it's your first time away from home, you don't know who to turn to, you need help finding a job or picking classes or making friends, getting involved. Your Pathway Oregon advisors can assist you with that. So who is Pathway Oregon available to? How can you get this? So Oregon resident, check. Right? Graduated from an Oregon high school within the last 2 years. So looking for recent high school graduates. Completing the FAFSA by February 15th, right? So well ahead of when you start school. You've got to qualify for the federal Pell Grant as determined by the FAFSA. I mentioned in the previous video that if you qualify for the federal Pell Grant, it means you have high financial need, and it means you might get some additional need-based aid. So in this case, it's one of the criteria for Pathway Oregon. You also would need to have a minimum 3.4 high school GPA. And we have our own system for determining GPA. You can look on our admissions website to determine how exactly that works. But if you meet that criteria, high school GPA, Pell Grant, and you come straight to the University of Oregon as a first-time freshman, you can have your tuition and fees covered. You will. There's no limit to the number of scholarships that are available. All you need to do is apply for admission and submit your FAFSA. It really is, obviously you've got to have a 3.4 GPA, but it really is that simple. There's no extra application to be admitted to the Pathway Oregon program. Now let's say that you decide to go to a community college. There's plenty of great reasons to do that. Maybe you're not sure that you want to study of what you want to study yet, or you have some responsibilities at home. There are opportunities to help you financially to go straight to college, to community college after you graduate from high school, instead of just starting with full-time work. So Oregon Promise covers most tuition at Oregon community colleges. And you can see there's pretty generous amounts here. You do have to put in a $50 copay, but it'll cover you up to your full-time enrollment as you pursue a 2-year degree, usually like an associate's degree. And that could prepare you then to transfer to a 4-year university like the University of Oregon. I do want to point out, though, that programs like the Pathway Oregon and our Summit and Apex scholarships, those are only available if you come in as a first-time freshman. So you might not necessarily save money by going straight to a community college first. It's just good to know that there are options available to you no matter where you choose to go, wherever you're ready to go. So to qualify for Oregon Promise, you would need to complete the Oregon Promise application at oregonstudentaid.gov and your FAFSA by June 1st. You've got to have at least a 2.5 high school GPA, enroll half-time. You'll have to have graduated from an Oregon high school and enrolled within the 6 months after graduation. So that does it for our types of aids section. And pretty soon here, we're going to move into cost of attendance and tips. So please join us for the last segment.